Today was the travel day from hell for a lot of the Monday Night Raw roster, which either did not make it into the show at all, or they made it into the show after it was already on the air, which led to a lot of chaos out on the West Coast here for WWE tonight. It led to a lot of rewrites on the show. And last week, of course, we heard about there being a lot of rewrites to Monday Night Raw, and we see how that show turned out last week. However, the rewrites tonight were not because of this man. Oh no, it's Vince Watch. That's right, we are on Vince Watch. Vince McMahon was not in Seattle for Monday Night Raw tonight. He was back at the headquarters in Stamford, or so we are told. Sami Zayn, Matt Riddle, they were not there at the beginning of the show. Things had to be moved around. Things had to be shuffled around. Matt Riddle was supposed to wrestle The Miz on tonight's show. That match did not happen, which I think was for the better. But they did make an appearance later on in the show. We also had no Damian Priest, who was advertised he was going to be coming out to talk about his attack on Bad Bunny last week. And while we did see Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, half of the Judgment Day was on the show tonight. Apparently, Damian Priest, I guess, was not among those who were able to make it. So he was not there. But there were some happenings on this show tonight. We have new women's tag team champions. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the new tag team champions, and they got a win tonight, not over Becky Lynch and Lita, but it ended up being over Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus because there was a mysterious backstage attack earlier. Somebody attacked Lita, and we didn't know who it was. And Trish Stratus was there to step into her place, and it was actually Trish who took the losing fall in that tag team match, which led to the heel turn that I think a lot of us saw coming. Apparently, Becky Lynch was the only one who did not see this coming. Everybody in the building tonight could see what was about to happen, except poor Becky Lynch. But Trish Stratus has officially gone heel. Cody Rhodes was on the show tonight after his not-so-great week last week. Of course, he failed at WrestleMania. He failed to see Brock Lesnar attacking him, which is something else, frankly, that I saw last week. Apparently, Cody did not. He got laid out and left for dead by Brock Lesnar. So he came out tonight to cut what I thought was actually a very good promo. It's one of his strong suits. Cody came out tonight and was in one of the stronger segments on tonight's show, laying down the gauntlet to Brock Lesnar for a match. He wants Brock Lesnar at Backlash, or as he called it, WrestleMania Backlash. I already see a lot of people freaking out about this. I also, my ears perked up when I heard him say that, but it's nothing to be concerned about. But the challenge has been issued. Now we have to wait 1 week to see what Brock Lesnar has to say. He will be on Raw in Arkansas next week. I think they're in Little Rock, I believe. But I can also say, coming out of the show, what were the big takeaways from this show? I can tell you that now that the show is over, I hate this fucking Renfield movie that is coming out at the end of the week. I can tell you that. After all the plugs and all the commercials and all the mentions of it tonight, I haven't even seen this movie yet, and I fucking hate it. So thank you to WWE and the fine folks at USA Network for all of the Renfield plugs. Overall, this was a noticeably better episode of Raw. It was not a great episode of Raw. This is not an episode that I think was, terribly exciting. And even the crowd was very quiet and very down for a lot of the show. I can't necessarily blame them for some of the matches, but they were noticeably quiet. They were a subdued bunch tonight, but we had a lot more in-ring action this week, a lot less talking, and a lot more matches than we did last week. We had some focused stories. There was nothing that was terribly offensive. So a noticeable improvement over whatever the hell it was that they gave us on television last week. I will take this show over the debacle that we got last Monday. But this is your Monday Night Renfield review for Monday night, April 10th, 2023. I am the Solomonster. Hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. I say welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure that notifications are turned on in the on position. Hit that thumbs up as well. If we can get at least 500 likes here on this video, we will do Be the Booker a little bit later. I'm not throwing shade at Nicolas Cage. I have nothing personally against Nick Cage. I didn't realize that Nicolas Cage had so many fans. I made a comment about the Renfield movie on Twitter, and like the whole Nicolas Cage brigade came after me with their pitchforks. Calm down. I like Face Off, right? Face Off is a favorite movie of mine. I got nothing against Nicolas Cage, but I have no interest in seeing this Renfield movie now. I don't even want to hear the word Renfield mentioned ever again. Nothing personal against Nick Cage. My God, I didn't realize he had such a big fan base. Super chats are open, except for Nick Cage. He's not allowed to send any in. We'll be reading them a little bit later on, and also you can join, because applications are open, for the Green World Order.
GWO.
Yes, indeed, the GWO. If you want to become a channel member, you may do so, and you get some perks to go along with it. And one of those perks just so happens to be early access to certain special features like Sound Off Gamer. And there is a brand new episode of Sound Off Gamer, episode 2, for WWE 2K23 that went up this afternoon. If you are a channel member, you can watch it right now. Over 60 minutes of Sound Off Gamer. Channel members get it first, and everybody else will have access to it later on this week in a few days. So go ahead and check that out and leave comments and critiques for Sound Off Gamer. Now, at the top of the show tonight, Corey Graves told us that several superstars were having travel issues trying to get into the city, and they were late in arriving to the arena. There could be some talent that showed up late in the night, which ended up being the case. But it did result in them having to really rebook things and reshuffle certain things, and perhaps there was talent on the show that otherwise would not have been. So it did create a bit of a chaotic situation behind the scenes in WWE today. Rey Mysterio, straight from SmackDown, opened the show tonight. He was out first with the LWO t-shirt representing the Latino World Order. Out to the ring for a promo. He talked about being inducted into the Hall of Fame last weekend. He talked about wrestling his son at WrestleMania, which brought out Dominic all by himself. And he flubbed his very first line. He told his father to keep my name out of my Then he stopped himself. He said, "No, your mouth." That was his kicked your leg out of your leg moment for Dominic here on this show. King Chris, thank you for becoming a channel member, and Manic Game Magician as well as a Sound Off superstar. Actually, Manic Game Magician just renewed for 2 months. So thank you. But that was not the only flub here in this. It was not a good night for Dominic on the microphone. That was flub number 1. So he said he's better off with his real family, the Judgment Day, instead of his deadbeat dad. He blamed Bad Bunny for his loss at WrestleMania. They did replay the finish of the match where Dominic attempted to use a chain. Bad Bunny reached in and pulled it away from him and stopped him. They showed footage from last week of Damian Priest putting the bunny through the announce desk and leaving him laying. Ray said that Dominic and the rest of the Judgment Day would regret putting their hands on Bad Bunny because he spoke to him last night. And he said that Bad Bunny is going to be back. So Dominic flubbed again. He said, I hope Bad Bunny learned his lesson and sticks his nose out of the Judgment Day's business. So he got his lines crossed a little bit there. Poor Dom. Poor Dom. Ray called for his son to face him at a WrestleMania rematch. I love this now because we spent months of Rey Mysterio saying, I will not fight my son. I will not fight my son. I will not, under any circumstances, get in the ring and wrestle Dominic. Not only did he wrestle his son at WrestleMania, he's ready for a rematch. He's like, let's do it again. And Dominic said, well, I'm not going to fight my own father, but I know somebody who would fight you instead. Finn Balor made his entrance to set up for the first match coming out of the commercial break. So a bit of a rough night for Dominic on the microphone. A couple of flubs there. See, I don't think this segment was planned. I'm willing to bet that this is one of the segments that they had to throw in there late in the day. I would be not surprised at all to find out that Ray against Finn Balor and this whole promo segment to open the show was not in the original format. And this is probably one of the changes. And maybe, again, they just didn't have time to go over things. And I don't know, because Dominic in particular was a little bit out of sorts here, more than usual. But we got Rey Mysterio against Finn Balor with 14 staples in his head from the Hell in a Cell match with Edge at WrestleMania. He was back in the ring here 8 days later. I mean, he was back in the ring that night. Literally put 14 staples in his head at ringside. And then he went out there and finished the match. But he was back in the ring tonight. Ray hit the 619. Balor got his knees up on a frog splash attempt and transitioned into an immediate small package for a near fall. As Balor distracted the referee, Dominic tried to hit Ray with a steel chain wrapped around his fist. Ray ducked it, punched his son, and he threw Balor out of the ring. Ended up taking out both guys with a suicide dive. He rolled Balor back in the ring. As Balor rolled inside, he was holding his eye. He took the referee for the distraction. And with the referee's back turned, this time Dominic did not miss. And he punched his father with a fist, wrapped it a chain. Balor followed with the coup de grace and scored the pinfall. So this was a really good match. And at 15 minutes, they gave this half the total in-ring time that we got on the entire 3-hour show last week. We had 30 minutes of ring time last week. We got 15 in this opening segment alone. So that right there tells you the difference between the two shows. But this is really good. So we go to the back. We have some earlier today footage. Alpha Academy is being interviewed. Maxine Dupree walks up, and she's all over. She's swooning over Otis. All of a sudden, we hear screaming, and the cameraman runs over to find Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They're yelling, they're calling for help. And on the floor is Lita. And it appears that Lita has been attacked. She's conscious, she's sitting there, but she's holding her head. Trish Stratus raced over, was asking what happened. Becky Lynch showed up. What the hell happened here? Liv and Raquel said, we just got here. We don't know, right? Becky seemed a little skeptical of that because Liv and Raquel are their opponents tonight for the tag team titles. So immediately you could tell Becky is thinking, okay, this is your fault. You attacked her. What did you guys do? And they insist, no, we didn't do anything. And so it begins. was pretty clear. Like, if you watch this, the minute you saw Trish Stratus there, you had to think, okay, we know where this is going, right? So it begins. Trish got tired of being the third wheel. We would find out later in the show. They go to a commercial break, and they replayed the finish coming back of last week's Night 2 WrestleMania main event, with Cody Rhodes losing to Roman Reigns, failing to finish the story. And they showed a replay of the angle that closed last week's show with Brock Lesnar turning on Cody and leaving him for dead. When they came back live, Corey Graves said that they've reached out to Brock and his camp. I would love to know who is involved in Brock's camp. Used to be Paul Heyman. It's not Paul Heyman anymore. So who exactly is Brock's camp? I would love to know. But they reached out to Brock and his camp, and they got no response. They've gotten radio silence over the past week. But Corey repeated the line from Wade Barrett on SmackDown Friday night about there being speculation that Brock was upset about the positioning of his match at WrestleMania, and therefore maybe that had something to do with why he took out Cody Rhodes. And Corey said, I think there's got to be more to it than that, right? At least he stuck that in there. Maybe they heard the backlash from what Wade said on Friday, and they said, okay, we got to come up with something better here. But Corey said, yeah, there's got to be more to it than that. Yeah, I would hope so. I sure hope so. We'll find out next week. So then we go to Becky Lynch, interviewed in the back, trying to give us an update on Lita. She said Lita is, quote, in a local medical facility. The dreaded local medical facility. She doesn't know who did it, but when she finds out, she's going to slap their head off. She was ready to go it alone tonight, but somebody else had an even better idea. Then into camera view walks Trish Stratus, and Adam Pearce is there as well. So Trish Stratus is going to replace Lita tonight in defending the tag team titles with Becky against Liv and Raquel. Again, this should have screamed angle alert from the moment that this was announced. So Trish volunteered, and we got our tag team championship match. Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch defending against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now Raquel comes out. She does this pose when she gets in the ring because she's very muscular. She works out, so she's always flexing and she's showing off her back. She has cupping marks all over her, like she's trying to look like Kenny Omega. She's got cupping marks all over her back. She's got it on her arms, her shoulders. It almost looked like the camera kind of cut away because it really realized we don't want to show all the cupping marks. But it was very noticeable, which would explain, if you're watching this, if we have Raquel in the artwork, if you're wondering, what are those giant red dots on Raquel's neck and her forehead and her shoulder? Those are cupping marks, right? We got to be true to life here in the artwork. So that's what that is. But the match starts, and it's Raquel and Becky is pushing her, and Raquel is yelling at her, and she's saying, I didn't do it. So clearly Becky was still accusing them of attacking Lita before the match. The crowd for this match was deathly silent, like alarmingly silent. This is a championship match. Becky Lynch is still one of the bigger stars in the company. You think of how big of a star and the reactions Becky was getting a few years ago. And you had Becky and Trish Stratus on the same team here in this match, and you would never know it. You would think this was some kind of preliminary match. This crowd did not care about this match, which is not good. And it felt like these four women, it felt like they were trying to go out there and put on a classic, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't working the way that they had intended. It came off completely flat. And honestly, the match just wasn't very good. The match itself just was not very good. There was a spot where Becky and Trish were on the middle rope. They were attempting to give Liv a superplex, and they took forever standing there because they were waiting for Raquel to come over for the Tower of Doom spot. Eventually, she came over. She got underneath them. They did the Tower of Doom spot. And somebody in the live chat actually said it best. Like, I'm watching this, and it's like, why would you do that? Like, your opponent, you have two opponents that are on the middle rope, right? I understand wanting to slam them down. But your tag team partner is the one who is really taking the brunt of the impact here. She showed no regard for Liv Morgan. Why would you do that to your partner? It's a valid point. So there was a messy spot where Becky gave Raquel a diamond dust while also landing at the same time on Liv Morgan with a leg drop. Trish looked like she was trying to get involved here when she wasn't supposed to, and the referee was basically telling her not to. So again, it looked like there was some confusion here. Trish gave Raquel the Stratusfaction Bulldog. Liv gave Becky a code breaker, but Lynch rolled through on the Oblivion attempt and gave her a terrible looking manhandle slam. She went for the cover. Raquel, though, reached in from the outside and pulled Becky off of her. Becky then wiped out Raquel on the floor with a dive from the apron. Stratus got in the ring. She went for a chick kick on Liv. Liv ducked and schoolboyed her and got the 3 count. Just like that, to win the women's tag team titles. Noticeably sloppy, this match. You cannot blame it all on Trish. The fact that Trish and Becky haven't teamed before in a regular tag team. I mean, they were partners at WrestleMania, but, you know, a regular tag team match like this, you can't just put it all on Trish Stratus here. There was plenty of blame to go around to everybody involved in this match. Whatever they were going for just didn't work. Now, the one thing the crowd did pop big for was the title change, because they got to see a title change. So they liked that. But the majority of this match, again, you could hear a pin drop. People just didn't seem to care. After the match, Becky went over to Trish. Trish was sitting in the ring. She obviously looked disappointed. Becky was disappointed too, but she went over to Trish, and they got up to their feet, and she gave her a hug. You know, she gave Trish a hug and was telling her, you know, it's okay. It's fine. As soon as Becky turned around, Becky Lynch was the only person in this entire building not to see what was about to happen. She turned around to go leave the ring, and when she did, Trish Stratus attacked Becky Lynch from behind, gave her a very weak, sloppy-looking This did not look good. And it's an important moment, too, because, like, I think back to when Becky went off on Charlotte at SummerSlam when she, quote-unquote, turned heel, which ended up not being a heel turn. But it did lead to the most popular period of her career. When she turned on Charlotte at SummerSlam back in 2018, and she nailed her right in the face and got that huge pop, and she was, like, beating the crap out of her and stomping the shit out of this woman. You got to lay that shit in. You got to make it look good. And Trish just didn't do that. So this just didn't look very good. When Becky got up, Trish dropped her with a chick kick. That looked good, at least. And so Trish Stratus has turned heel. Now, the good thing about this is that Trish had a really good heel run. You go back to 2004, she was doing some stuff with Christian, and Trish Stratus was a very good heel. That was almost 20 years ago. So can she replicate that? You know, we'll see when she goes to cut her first promo. And I don't know how many shows she'll be on, if she'll be on television every week or not. It's a different time. But Trish in the past has been a great heel. So I am hopeful that she'll be able to kind of tap into that again. And we'll get to see some of that good heel Trish from back in the day. Now, after the break, Byron Saxton was in the back. And he was waiting to try to get a word with Trish, who came walking by. She completely ignored him. She no-sold his question and just kept on walking. So we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait to get our answer on why. But this was not good. This was not a good match. There just seemed to be something off with everybody involved. But we now have heel Trish. I assume that not only are we going to get Trish against Becky, but before that, we may get Trish against Lita. I could see Trish and Lita being the kind of lead up to the eventual Trish and Becky match. I wouldn't give Trish and Becky away right away. I think they go to her and Lita first, you know, because she attacked Lita. Lita has every reason to be upset with Trish because not only did Trish turn on her friend and her tag team partner, but she took her out of the match. Had that not happened, they would very likely still be tag team champions. So I think that match comes first, maybe a backlash, and then you wait and you save the eventual Trish and Becky match, maybe for Money in the Bank. If you're going to be in London at the O2 for Money in the Bank, that would be a good place to do it. But that's also the beginning of July. So we're still in April. And that's the thing. So can you wait that long? Can you put that match off that long? You do Trish and Lita at Backlash. That's May 6th. Even that match is a month off. But let's say they do that match there. They would have to wait another 2 months. I don't think they have any pay-per-views at all in June. So it's just a matter of when do they, how long can they drag this out for and keep it interesting? One thing I will tell you about tonight, these people here in Seattle did not seem all that interested in this. Now, Paul Heyman was in the back, and he was being interviewed by Kelly. Or Kathy Kelly, I'm sorry. Wrong Kelly. By the way, congratulations to Kelly. Now that I mentioned Kelly, I believe, reported on social media this week that she is having twins. I wonder if she'll call them Kelly. I'm here all night. Anyway, Paul Heyman, interviewed by Kathy Kelly in the back, and she remembers Heyman dodging the question of whether or not he had anything to do with Brock Lesnar attacking Cody Rhodes last week. So she asked him about it again, and Heyman mocked her, and then he wanted to shift the focus away to another subject and talk about Kevin Owens having a problem because Matt Riddle was not here tonight, and Sami Zayn, his tag team championship partner, was not here tonight. And he claimed that both of them opted to take a later flight to avoid having to wrestle solo Sikoa. Heyman said Owens was not bright enough to do the same, and so he's coming in with 0 allies and even fewer friends. He said Sikoa, and the Usos were in the building. He questioned what kind of people would take advantage of Owens in this vulnerable state and follow the tribal chief's orders to solve the KO problem. He said, "We the ones," and that was the end of that segment. They then had the announcers pitch to a replay of the Triple H promo from SmackDown on Friday night announcing the return of the WWE Draft in the next few weeks, which led to a segment in the back. Dakota Kai and Io Sky were waiting outside Adam Pearce's office. Apparently, Bayley was inside, and they were waiting for her to come out. Bayley finally comes out, and she lets her stablemates know that she tried getting them a tag team championship match, but Pierce seemed more preoccupied about talking about the upcoming draft than listening to her and giving them a tag team title match. She said that I told him I don't want him to split up Damage Control. She did have news to share, though. She said that she would be in a triple threat match tonight with Mia Yim and Piper Niven, and the winner of that match would be getting a championship match with Bianca Belair at a later date for the Raw Women's Championship. Io Sky had this great death glare. She was burning a hole through Bayley, and she started barking some stuff at her in Japanese. And Dakota said, "You know what? I agree with what she said." She said, "What about us? They felt like it was time that one of them get a title shot." And Bayley said, "Okay, I didn't know you guys would feel this way. I didn't know you would be so upset. I'll go back inside and see if Pierce can replace me with one of you in that match." And she went back into Adam Pearce's office. You know, Damage Control is the one group, if nothing else, is the one group that should be split up in this draft coming up. Of all the factions in this company, this is the one that needs to be split up. Io Sky needs to venture out on her own here. I know why they probably like her being part of Damage Control, because, again, sure, her English is not great. They could let Bayley do the talking. They could let Dakota do most of the talking. But this Damage Control thing has, in my opinion, run its course. We have Bobby Lashley, one-on-one with Bronson Reed. This right here should have taken place on night 2 of WrestleMania. If they weren't going to do anything with LA Knight, they could have at least given us Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. The last 2 in the Andre Battle Royal, but we got it tonight. Bronson took control ahead of a commercial break, used a shoulder tackle off the apron to knock down Lashley. Lashley came back with a neck breaker and an impressive vertical suplex. He took over the big man. He then tried to apply the hurt lock, but Reed, his neck and everything, he's so damn thick, he couldn't lock the fingers. He couldn't get the hold applied. And so to break the attempt, Reed fell backwards on top of Bobby, and he squashed him. He literally squashed. I'm not talking about he buried him, he pinned him. He squashed Poor Bobby Lashley. Drove all the air out of his lungs. Reed went up top for the tsunami splash. Lashley, though, cut him off. Reed then raked Lashley's eyes. Dove onto him in almost kind of a Luthez press. Lashley recovered. He went for a spear. Reed cut him off with a kick. Ran the ropes, but when Bronson came off, he got hoisted up into the air and put down with a spine buster. That popped the crowd. Popped me too. Lashley set up for the hurt lock again, and again he was unable to lock the fingers. Reed stumbled towards the ropes. Both men fell out of the ring. Lashley got up first. He clotheslined Reed. Then he tried to hoist him up over his shoulder. He does that move where he, drives the guy head first into the ring post. Reed slipped out, shoved Bobby forward. Bobby went into the ring post instead. And both men ended up getting counted out. And the crowd booed. The crowd was not a fan of that finish at all. But they continued to brawl after the bell until the referees ran out to try to break them up. This was like trying to break up Godzilla and King Kong. Right? They were trying to keep these two guys apart. I have, as you guys know, right? Most of you are here every week. And if you're new here, hi. But most of you who watch these reviews, listen to these reviews, you know my feelings on Bronson Reed. I'm a Bronson Reed fan. I'm a fan of his work. I was very happy to see Triple H rehire him and give him a second chance. He never had a first chance. And I think it's been very limited in what we've seen of him so far, but even the Elimination Chamber, the times that we have seen him, I think he has delivered. He has been very impressive, trying to get over the tsunami splash, right? He's looked good. He's actually been one of the Triple H rehires, I think, that has done well so far. So I am generally a fan of his work. If we're being perfectly honest here, he looked noticeably gassed when this match was over. I mean, it was noticeable. So I don't know. This was not a terribly long match. I mean, he's been in longer matches before. He hasn't had that many competitive matches on TV. This was his most competitive singles match that he's had so far, although he was in the Elimination Chamber match. That's when they pinned him by having everybody hit their finish on him. So they tried to at least keep him strong. But again, noticeably gassed by the time this thing was over. In a way that I haven't seen in any of his other matches. But this was fun. Again, not a terribly long match, but I thought it was fun. And yes, look, the finish was lame. Nobody likes to see a double countout, right? That's like the worst possible finish that you can do. Okay, it's a lame finish. But it worked in this case. Because I want to see these two have a program. I want to see this get extended into a second and maybe even a third match. I don't want to see this be a one-off television match. So in order to keep these two guys protected until you can have one decisive winner in the rematch, you got to do a finish like this. Either this or a no contest. So that's what they did. I'm okay with it because clearly the issue between these two is not over. And I would like to see more from these two. So I thought it was fun. Now at 9:43 p.m., it was time for the American Nightmare, who failed at WrestleMania. Failed to finish the story at WrestleMania. Of course, I'm talking about Cody Rhodes out to the ring for a promo in his dapper suit. He said at WrestleMania, under the brightest lights, in the main event, he lost to Roman Reigns. He asked that all blame be directed at him. Don't blame anybody else. Don't blame the bloodline. You blame me. He said that he lost, and I'm sorry. He heard two things after that match. One from a dear friend, Matt. Now, of course, which Matt he was referring to, we get to try to figure out. Was it Matt Hardy? Was it Matt Jackson? I don't know. He said he heard from his friend Matt. Let the guessing begin. Matt said that being in the main event is a win. Being in the main event of WrestleMania is a win in and of itself. And whoever the Matt was said, at this point in your life, do wins and losses even matter? Maybe he didn't get texted by Matt. Maybe he got text from Road Dogg. Do wins and losses even matter? And Cody said, absolutely. The only people who say wins and losses don't matter are the legends who already have a chance to finish their story. And idiots on YouTube as well. Those are the only two types of people who say the wins and losses don't The other thing he heard was from Paul Heyman, which was if he's ever to challenge for the title again, that he's going to have to earn it. Cody said that he hasn't earned it. That's to ignore everything I've done up until this point. That's to ignore dashing and Stardust and being the EVP and everything that I've ever done. He says, earn it. I am it. Interesting that the clip I put up on the YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, yes, it could be Matt Cardona. That's true. I was thinking Matt Hardy, Matt Jackson. It could be Matt Cardona. That's right. Or Matt from catering. Well, if Matt Cardona comes back, that may end up, knowing the position they had him in before. He would go from being one of the hottest things on the independent scene to being back in catering. So he's probably better off staying as far away from Vince McMahon as possible. But no, he said, look, I don't have to earn it. I am it. And I was going to say the clip I put up on the YouTube channel from this weekend's podcast about Cody and this whole adversity thing has got a lot of comments. I haven't even gone through all of them yet, but a very hot discussion in the comments section. I got a lot of people talking. This whole argument that Cody didn't work hard enough to get to the championship yet. You got to make him fight for it. Adversity, all this bullshit, all this stuff. So it was interesting. He was kind of tapping into that a little bit here. It was almost like they were taking that argument that they've seen people making, and they incorporated it a little bit here into his promo. So I like that. He said, now the tale has a new wrinkle to it. And that new wrinkle is Brock Lesnar. He said, you know what's more embarrassing than laying in the ring after losing in front of 80,000 people with a rubber chicken next to your head? Shout out Rubber Chicken. Offering up your partnership to the Beast and having him repay it in destruction. Somebody tell me why Brock Lesnar did what he did. He said, I heard on SmackDown that Brock Lesnar was unhappy about his spot at WrestleMania. His theory is that Brock is uncertain about him and unfamiliar with him and the change that he has brought to WWE. Change that would directly affect him. Why else would Brock wait until my back was turned? But if you're Brock Lesnar, why the hell would you ever be uncertain? He said when Brock Lesnar looks in the mirror, he sees a predator. He sees a former NCAA champion. He sees a former WWE champion. He sees a former UFC heavyweight champion. Hall of Famer in both worlds. He says, here's a man who looked at The Rock and he saw a victim. Here's a man who looked at Hulk Hogan and he saw a victim. Randy Couture, victim. John Cena, victim. Randy Orton, victim. Undertaker, his WrestleMania streak, he saw a victim. Because is that how you see me, Brock? You see me as a victim? He said he wants Brock Lesnar in a match. When Brock looks in the mirror for the first time in his life, he's going to see not a predator, not all these things that he just said. He's going to see a victim. Cody's victim. So it can be anywhere, anytime, any place, but he knows Brock is not there tonight in Seattle. Boo! Crowd booed. But he knows Brock Lesnar is going to answer his challenge. What do you say? What do you say, Brock? Face-to-face, eye-to-eye, one-on-one at WrestleMania Backlash. And I thought, oh God. As soon as the words left his lips, WrestleMania Backlash, I cringed. That's the second time I've heard WrestleMania Backlash on this show. The second time in 2 weeks. Last week it was Kathy Kelly. When she introduced Bad Bunny at ringside to talk to him, she called it WrestleMania Backlash also. Second time in 2 weeks. But when they went to commercial, they aired a commercial for Backlash and they are advertising it as Backlash. And on commentary, they had Kevin Patrick. He called it WWE Backlash. He did not call it WrestleMania Backlash. So I am assuming that Cody just simply missed. He didn't get the memo. He made a mistake. Cody did not get the memo that went out. As far as I know, it is still Backlash, not this WrestleMania Backlash garbage. But that is twice in 2 weeks. So I thought this was a very good promo, very strong promo from Cody. One other thing I liked, other than him kind of incorporating some of these real-life arguments that have been made on social media and certain websites over the last week. I like the fact that he didn't just come out, and I guess it really wouldn't fit the character much, but he didn't just come out and complain about the fact that, Roman, you had your henchmen do your dirty work for you. I'd be champion right now. And Solo Sikoa screwed me out of a win. He didn't come out and complain. He didn't come out and bitch. He came out and said, I lost. I lost, and I'm sorry. He apologized to the fans for not finishing the story, instead of coming out and crying and complaining about it. And so I like that. I like that aspect of it. I think it endears him more to the audience by doing that. Brock apparently is going to be flying to Puerto Rico. We don't have his official answer yet. We have to wait. Brock is going to be on Raw next Monday. They did announce that. So Brock Lesnar, whether it's in person or via satellite from the farm, I assume he'll be there in person. He'll be on Raw next week to maybe give us an explanation and answer the challenge of Cody Rhodes. So Brock will very likely be in Puerto Rico. And that's big for Cody, because that's back-to-back pay-per-view main events for Cody Rhodes, including the WrestleMania main event. He headlined WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. Now he's going to headline Backlash, most likely, against Brock Lesnar. So that is a great position for Cody to be in. What should happen at Backlash is Cody goes in there and a battered, broken, maybe bloody, it is Puerto Rico, right? They love their blood and their violence in their wrestling matches. A bloody, broken, and battered Cody Rhodes finds a way to slay the beast and overcome, and he beats Brock Lesnar. That's what should happen. What will happen, my fear, potentially, what will happen, is that Cody goes in there and they have a 6-minute match and Brock beats him with one F5. Because there could be a second match. So they have Cody lose the first one to get to the second one. That's my fear. Cody goes in there, gets F5 once and beaten in 5 minutes. I'm hoping that is not what happens. So we'll see what Brock has to say when he's on television next week. Yes, they need a headline. They need a headliner because Roman Reigns is not on that show. That is true. Roman Reigns is not booked for Backlash. I would be surprised, though, if we don't see him in Saudi Arabia. Maybe Cody needs to bring that rubber chicken with him. He can load the rubber chicken with like a brick or something in its belly. Brock comes over, he whacks him in the head with it or something, So we had the Usos taking on the Alpha Academy. We got a caterpillar from Otis, and the crowd loved that. Top rope headbutt from Chad Gable on Jimmy got them a near fall. Gable put Jimmy in an ankle lock, but he rolled out of it. For a crowd that for large chunks of the night was not very energetic and not very loud, they were getting very loud here for Chad Gable on offense, especially when he put the ankle lock on. So he got the ankle lock on. Jimmy rolled through. Jay tagged in. Both Usos caught Gable with a double super kick and then the 1D. And I don't know how many of you picked up on it, but as Jey Uso went over to cover Gable, he thanked him. He said, thank you. And then he covered him and he pinned him, and that is a win for the Usos. That's also the same thing that Seth Rollins did at WrestleMania 31 when he cashed in his Money in the Bank, went to pin Roman Reigns, who was originally thought to or supposed to win the match. Probably may well have entered the stadium that night thinking he was going to win the match. His family apparently did. Apparently his family, his father, were all very upset that he did not win that night. But when Rollins gave him the curb stomp and went to go pin him, it's very audible on there. He said, thank you so much. And he pinned him. It's just it's a respect thing. It's a respect thing. And I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of people on that roster who have an infinite amount of respect for Chad Gable. He is one of the workhorses on that Monday Night Raw brand. This got really good in the closing minutes. Gable had a lot to do with that, as he usually does. And as he usually does, he took the L in this match. We ended up getting one of the canceled triple threat matches that were rumored for last week that Vince McMahon supposedly eliminated when he rewrote the show. There were supposed to be 2 triple threat women's matches last week, with the winners then meeting to determine a number 1 contender for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship. Tonight, we only got one of those matches, and this one match was to determine the number one contender. This match had Io Sky, who got Bayley's place, Michin, Mia Yim, and Piper Niven. Michin hit Eat Defeat on Piper, went for the pin. Io hit her over the moonsault to break up the pin at the very last second, then crawled over Piper's body, because I guess she wasn't the legal person, to cover Mia Yim, who actually took the least brunt of the impact. Piper Niven really is the one who took the impact of that moonsault. Mia Yim took virtually none of it, but Io crawled over to cover her, and she pinned her to win the match and become number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. The fans seemed happy with Io winning. The fans were already taking Io Sky. You know, when she goes on offense and she does the moonsaults and everything, I mean, babyface offense. So the fans were happy with her going over here in this match. Bayley and Dakota got in the ring to celebrate with her. Bayley was not showing any signs of being upset that this woman, her partner, won. That should have been her spot, right? But they bitched, and so she got Io the title shot instead, and now Io has the shot that maybe Bayley feels she should have had. She wasn't really expressing any of that facially here in the ring. Although maybe she was faking her, enthusiasm. That's possible. I think the green-eyed monster of envy is going to rear its ugly head at some point here, and perhaps that'll lead to the split with Damage Control. But I see a babyface singles run in the future for Io Sky, especially coming out of the draft. The main event of the show was Kevin Owens going one-on-one. By the way, before I even get to the main event, talk about Mia Yim for a second. AJ Styles goes down a few months ago with a broken ankle. And my God, the club just completely fell apart. How many appearances on television have Anderson and Gallows made since AJ got hurt? Maybe one? It might have been the Andre Battle Royal. That might be the only one. That might be it. Mia Yim, not much better. She's made maybe a few appearances. She never wins. It's like the entire group completely fell apart the minute that AJ Styles got hurt. It's incredible. In case you were wondering, what's the glue holding that group together? That could be another group, by the way, that gets split up in the draft. But if you're Anderson or Gallows or Mia Yim, you better be praying to the wrestling gods that doesn't happen. Because if it does, you are doomed. You are doomed. They should be hoping that the club does not get broken up. Because as we can see, when the club is not together, there ain't no club. But main event of this show, Kevin Owens, one-on-one with... the club is closed. Yes, Mr. E says the club is closed. You can no longer get into the club. Kevin Owens against Solo Sikoa. This is not the first time that we have seen these two in the ring in recent weeks. I will give them a pass, though, because this could very well be another one of those matches. Now, maybe this match was originally scheduled. It was last week that Solo was responsible for overturning that production case, the equipment case on top of Owens' leg. So maybe they were going to do this match anyway. But it's hard to tell what changed and what didn't as far as the actual matches because, again, they were very short-handed coming into the show tonight. So if there were a lot of rematches or awkwardness, you got to give them a pass because it's been a nightmarish day for them. I can understand that. But there was no Sami Zayn, at least at the beginning of this match. There was no Sami Zayn. There was no Matt Riddle. Owens was out there with a bum leg all by himself. Solo came out with the Usos in his corner. Owens sold the leg throughout the match. He'd make a comeback and then the leg would give out on him. He hit a huge frog splash. Solo kicked out. Sikoa came back with a Samoan drop, headed to the top. Owens made it to his feet and kind of fell into the ropes, which crotched poor Solo on top. He threw him off the top rope, and then Owens had to fight off the Usos before hitting a Swanton bomb, crushing Solo Sikoa, but Solo kicked out. Owens hit a pop-up power bomb, but his knee gave out right after. Jimmy took the referee. Jay, meanwhile, with Owens kind of draped over the middle rope trying to collect himself, ate a super kick that the referee did not see. Solo followed that with the Samoan Spike, and he pinned one half of the undisputed tag team champions. Another win for Solo Sikoa. They gave Kevin Owens every possible out in this match. From the moment he walked out, even the promo in the back before this match that I didn't mention, they established very clearly he came into this match not at 100%, with a bum leg. They had the Usos out there constantly interfering. So he lost, but again, they gave him every out possible to protect him. He got beaten down by all three members of the Bloodline when the match was over. It was a 1-on-3 gang attack. Until they cut to the back, and we see Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle running through the backstage area. I actually kind of like this because normally they would just hit the music and they would run out. Here they made it look like they just got to the building when in reality they may well have just gotten to the building not long before this. So I assume that's why we didn't get Riddle and Miz tonight, which again, I'm totally fine with. I still think it was very dumb to even book that match. I think it was very dumb to even have Riddle on Raw at all last week. He was gone for how many months? 4 months? Last time we saw him, he was put out on the shelf by Solo Sikoa. Why not just wait? You sent him out there at the end of SmackDown on Friday night, right, to help out against the Bloodline. I saw that, and it was bizarre. Like, I said, okay, this makes sense. Why was he on Raw Monday night? Riding a scooter to the ring and beating up The Miz? What was the point of that? And then as it turned out, we didn't even get the match. But they came running out. Then they played Sammy's music. They came out into the arena. KO in the ring hit Jimmy with a stunner. Solo, though, saved Jay from a haluva kick. And the show ended with the Bloodline in retreat, except Solo. Solo was trying very hard to get back down to the ring. It was taking Jimmy and Jay everything in their power to hold their brother back. So they used the very real story of the travel delays to tell a story here at the end of the show, with Sammy and Riddle coming in at the very last minute to make the save. They did the best they could. You know, under battlefield conditions today, under the circumstances, they did the best they could. And it looks like we're getting a 6-man tag at Backlash. Now, I say that, and we'll see in 2 weeks they'll end up doing it on television. Could they rematch the Usos, Owens and Zayn, and just have a straight tag team championship rematch? They could, but I would think they would do a 6-man tag to get everybody in the ring. Roman's not going to be there. So a 6-man tag would get Owens, Zayn, Riddle in a match, Solo, the Usos. You can have the tag team titles on the line. I would not be surprised if they added a stipulation like that, saying, okay, it's a 6-man tag, but they get Sammy and KO to put their undisputed tag team titles on the line. If they lose the match, the Usos get the belts back. I could see that stipulation possibly being added just to kind of up the ante a little bit and put some stakes on the match. But that would be my guess, is that they're gonna do Cody and Brock once Brock accepts. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. And they may do that 6-man tag possibly with the tag team titles instead. And we've seen that happen before. We've seen trios matches where championships, singles championships, are decided. I'm not really a fan of that. You know, King of the Ring 2000, for example. That's an example that stands out to me. That was during a period of time where Triple H and The Rock were trading the belt back and forth every month. Rock beat Triple H at Backlash to become the champion. The next month at Judgment Day, Triple H won the belt back in the Iron Man match. King of the Ring the following month, a 6-man tag. Rock wins the world championship back. They actually had a world title change in a 6-man tag team match. So it would not be the first time this company did something like that. As far as the show overall, big improvement from last week. I still didn't think it was a great show. It was not the most exciting show, but we had a lot more in-ring action. I was a lot more, interested this week than I was last week. 30 minutes of wrestling on a 3-hour show, and everything that wasn't in the ring was largely just not good and boring last week. I didn't add up the total number of minutes of in-ring action we had tonight, but it had to be in excess of an hour. And we had the Trish Stratus heel turn. Might not have been executed in the best possible way, but I'm looking forward now to seeing what kind of heel Trish can be in 2023. 2004 is a long time ago. But she's been a great heel in the past, and so let's give it a chance and see how she is now. And we have new women's tag team champions. The women's tag team titles, they are what they are. I mean, they are they are what they are, right? It is what it is. They don't really have too many other legitimate tag teams, but they use that title change to kickstart the feud with Becky and Trish, and they're going to build to a big match between the two of them, later on, probably in the summer. So we'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at the Raw poll. Not great. I said this was not a great show, but even compared to last week, I mean, we had 7% thumbs up on that show last Monday. And here tonight, so far, 45.7% thumbs up, 33.8% thumbs in the middle, and 20.5% thumbs down, with over 1,400 votes in already. And this poll has not even been up for a full 90 minutes yet. So at Solomonster, go ahead and vote. Let me know what you thought about Monday Night Renfield here tonight. Renfield. Renfield. The movie that I will not see, Renfield. Monday Night Renfield. I want to suck your blood. All right. Or if you're the Dalai Lama, I want to suck your tongue. Fucking freak. You see that story? God. Oh my God. Fuck Vicky Guerrero, and the Dalai Lama can join. All right, here we go. Let's get to your super chats here. I know you guys got questions. I know you guys got comments, and I want to thank you for all of your support. If you do drop one, it does help out the channel. I appreciate all the love and support you guys throw my way. The Fluff Salisbury, $5 super chat, says, I am 30 minutes into Raw, and they have not mentioned the Intercontinental Champion Sal O the Monster. This episode of Raw sucks. Yeah, that's a Sound of Gamer reference, since apparently you cannot use the word monster when you create a character in the game. It has to be the monster. So I am Sal O the Monster. Best I could do. The closest that I could get to the Solomonster. Jockey Fowler with the $12 super chat. In the words of Grigory Rasputin, I only make decisions when my stomach is full or my balls are empty. A philosophy I am sure Vince McMahon knows something about. I only make decisions when my stomach is full or my balls are empty. Tell that to your boss. See how they react. Fire Panda with the $20 super chat. Solomonster, I'm a big Liv Morgan fan, and I want her to have a great spot on the card, but I want you to be brutally honest and break my spirit. What is holding Liv back, and why is she stuck in tag team hell? I think her size holds her back. I think that's a big part of it. I think her size holds her back. I mean, look at who they are pushing in this company right now, right? Who are the top two champions? Bianca Belair, who is very strong, right? She's done fitness and bodybuilding competitions before. She's a tremendous athlete. She's, clearly a very powerful person, right? Rhea Ripley also, bigger than most women in the division, very strong and powerful, and she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. Those are your two top females. Charlotte Flair was, up until recently, one of the top females in the company. Now she's taking some time off. So Bianca, Rhea, and Charlotte, all bigger physically in stature than Liv Morgan. Raquel Rodriguez, there's tagging her up with Liv. They're trying to give her a push, and Raquel also big and strong, right? I don't know how tall she is, but she's taller than Liv. So I think her size actually does work against her. Now, look, I think Liv she's good. When I see her in the ring, clearly she's improved from where she used to be. But she's a mid-level performer compared to the top talent they have in that company, in the women's division. She's not, main event caliber compared to the people that are in the main event right now. The people in the main event right now belong there. Those are the women that they have in that position to sell tickets and to have the long, great matches. We saw both women have great matches at WrestleMania, Charlotte and Rhea, Bianca and Asuka. Liv is not at that level. She's not at the level of an Asuka. She's not at the level of a Charlotte Flair in the ring. You know, she's better, but that doesn't make her the best. She's not in a bad spot. She's featured on television most weeks. She had the championship already, right? Doesn't mean she won't have it again, but she is not the best of what they have in that division. You know, she's a couple of steps below. She's not top tier, like they are. It doesn't mean she sucks. It just means that people they are pushing right now above her are better than she is. And so if they want her to be featured on television, what are they going to do with her? She's not challenging for the championship, and right now she isn't. Would you rather her not be on TV? No, if you're a Liv Morgan fan, you want to see her on television. And now Liv Morgan is one half of the women's tag team champions. Whatever your opinion is of the women's tag team titles and their worth and their value, at least she's being featured. Right? She has her fans, but she's not Rhea Ripley. She's not Charlotte Flair. She's not Bianca Belair. She's not Asuka. That's why they're here, and she's a step below them. Jay Glow with the $9.99. Cody Rhodes asked for a rematch last week, and Paul Heyman says no. Last time I checked, Paul Heyman was a wise man, not a general manager. Adam Pearce is supposed to make the matches. It makes 0 sense. Well, I guess Adam Pearce is in the pocket of the Bloodline, right? I don't know. You're asking this company to make sense. That's your first mistake. Jay also says Cody Rhodes now has to chase Vince McMahon's imaginary brass rings for the next 4 months to deem himself worthy of titles. Lazy booking. Start recording with the $6 super chat. Hello from Wolverhampton, England, Trent Seven's hometown. Do you think Garza and Carrillo should be added to the LWO, especially if they turn heel? Yeah, I mean, if they have already, they have Del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. They have Escobar. I still think Dominic is going to end up with them somehow, possibly leading the group. That would be 4 guys. If you add them, that makes it 6, which is a lot for a mid-level faction like that. But it's better than what they have them doing now. So I would be in favor of adding them to the LWO, sure. Why not? Give them a role on television. You know, it's sad that I completely forgot they were even on the roster. I was thinking the other day about the tag teams that they have right now and kind of making a list in my head, and I forgot about them. I forgot about Los Lotharios. That's how little they've been featured on television. Forgot they were even still there. Fire Panda with the $20. Hey, Fire Panda, thank you. Tonight was good. A good episode of Monday Night Renfield. Yes, it was. Tonight was the best episode of Monday Night Renfield of all time. Of course, it was the only episode of Monday Night Renfield of all time, but it was the best one. Start recording with $12 super chat. Which of these shocks you the most? Goldberg is the only wrestler who has been world champion in 4 different decades. Asuka is 0-5 at WrestleMania. And Ric Flair has had the most recent match of any Evolution member. I think Asuka being 0-5 is the one that shocks me the most, and actually, that appalls me. Ric Flair having the most recent match of any member of Evolution should not be a surprise if you followed Ric Flair's career. Ric Flair would be back in the ring tomorrow if you let him. I always figured Ric Flair was going to wrestle until he dropped. So that's not surprising at all. Asuka being 0-5 is actually very appalling. Bobby's World, 2110 with the $20 super chat. Zom in the chat, yes, they were. They were doing that. They were advertising that movie a lot. Bobby's World says, thanks for the awesome shout out on the podcast, brother. How was the reaction to Cody tonight? Did the prophecy of the internet come true? Is he reviled now? I joke, but I do fear that time will come eventually. Cody got a great reaction tonight. Cody gets a great reaction every week. And that'll be good as long as that doesn't change. So far, he's still getting the positive reactions. DEH Sire, 74 minutes of wrestling compared to 29 last week. Okay, so there's the ratio. I was wondering what the total was. 74 minutes of wrestling compared to half an hour last week. It's amazing. You know, you have a wrestling ring in the middle of this giant arena with 10,000 people in it. You would think that you would want some action happening in the ring, right? That's all I'm saying. You have a 3-hour television show, you're going to have less than 30 minutes of wrestling? Get the fuck out. Andre in the chat, doesn't Mercedes / Sasha have a horrendous record of WrestleMania? I think Sasha only has one win, right? Wasn't her last WrestleMania match with a tag match with Naomi? I think that was a win. Isn't she like 1 for 7 or something? 1 for 6 at WrestleMania? She has a terrible record. Arizona Rich, thank you for the hours of weekly entertainment. Love your show. Arizona Rich, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Lost the Sauce Boss. Just woke up from a 3-week coma. Can't wait to see how Triple H, now free of Vince McMahon, has chosen to book Cody, who obviously won at WrestleMania. Who wants to tell me? Who wants to break the bad news to Lost the Sauce Boss? I think you might be back on the sauce when we give you the bad news. James Cooper, Seattle is a top 5 U.S. crowd. I said what I said. Well, Seattle may be a top 5 U.S. crowd any other week. It was not tonight. You know what I think happened? Here's the problem. I think what you needed to do, you needed to have a heel come out tonight and insult Seattle for not having a basketball team. Like Elias did 5 years ago. That would have gotten a reaction. There's something about that when it comes to the Seattle fans, they don't like it when you remind them about the whole basketball situation. That was a missed opportunity. Should have had Dominic come out and make it and crack a joke about it. Dan Briggs, lurking since WrestleMania 37 when I got back into it. Caring for mom post-surgery tonight. Finally up to see a stream. Pretty good Raw. In Hunter, we trust. Dan, I am hoping that your mom heals well. So send her our regards here from the stream. I hope she's doing well. Thank you for the super chat. Uffman Entertainment. Seeing friends' posts on social media, I can confirm that there indeed was an Eagles concert at the Prudential Center on Friday night. Apparently, Vince McMahon was there. That's why he was not at SmackDown on Friday. Also, it is 4/10. Happy Bret Hart Day. Yes, of course. Of course. It should be a national holiday across Canada and the U.S. Happy 4 out of 10 day, everybody. Todd Warner, Solo, do you want to see Renfield with me? No, I think I'll pass. I'll pass. I'll let you report back to me on how you think it is. Brian Cyrus with the $5. Show was not bad tonight considering 50% of the roster wasn't there. Surprised Rollins wasn't at least there. I thought he and Becky would travel together. It's possible he was there. Didn't you see the show last week? I don't think these fucking people know what they're doing with Seth Rollins. Came out last week, he stood in the ring like this, and then he walked to the back. I wouldn't be surprised if he was there. Sitting in catering in the back. Lamar Smith with a $9.99. If they really do want to Luger, if they really do want to Luger Cody at SummerSlam, it would literally be 30 years at the same event in the same city. I remember that show because it was my first WWE event, and I may be at this one. That's a very interesting point. 30 years to the very event in the very... Was it the same city, though? That was at the Palette. That was in Auburn Hills. I don't know. I need to hear from some Michigan folks. Where is Auburn Hills relative to Detroit? Is it like a suburb of Detroit? I feel like it might be. 30 years. since SummerSlam 93. That's crazy. Dan Taylor, very nice haircut. I had to do it. I mean, it was getting out of control. It was time. It was time for a haircut. So it'll be good for about 2 weeks, and then it'll all be back. I'm not complaining though, right? I'm enjoying it while it's still there, but man, I couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't take it anymore. It's all right. How old is John Cena? He's got a few years on me, right? A few more years before I have the John Cena bald spot. It happens to all of us, right? Adrenaline in my hole. Adrenaline in my hole with the $2 super chat. Wink the Cosmic Grandma with the $4.99. Hey Francisco, what's going on? Where can I get a Solomonster mug? Says Zachariah. Well, I will have you know you can get these beauties. You want to get mugged? Just go to thesolomonster.com. You'll see the link tree. Go to the very bottom. It'll say get mugged. You can get this mug right here. Logo on both sides. Wink says, I watched your WWE 2K23 gameplay. What are the chances that you start rocking a giant lock and chain on these streams for our personal amusement? Well, if you watch the episode, the new episode, I am no longer the lock. They have allowed me to ditch the shitty gimmick. So the lock is no more. Rest in peace, the lock. 2023 to 2023. Lakers Pats won. Why didn't Brock attack Becky for WrestleMania 35? That would have been something. That would have been something. The only man to ever attack Becky, Baron Corbin. That might be the greatest thing he ever did. When he laid out Becky with the end of days, and Seth saw that, and then Corbin, I think, looked right at him, and what did Corbin say? He called him like a piece of shit or something. That's like the greatest thing he's ever done his entire career. Uffman says, what if Lita was in on it as well? That would be interesting. I had not thought of the possibility of Lita also being in on it. With Trish, though, there's an obvious explanation, right? She was the one kind of left out with no title. She kind of felt like the third wheel, she could say. What would Lita's excuse be? I mean, she was one half of the tag team champions. So you'd have to really... I feel like you would really have to fish to come up with a decent explanation for Lita. But you're right. I mean, it's possible. Maybe Trish and Lita are in on it together. DEH Sires with the $4.99. Lita and Trish have no business being in the ring. Comparing the pace of tag match to the triple threat match with Io, Mia, Piper is night and day. Well, look, I mean, they're a lot older and they have not been in the ring in how many years? I mean, it's to be expected. When Trish came back for that match with Charlotte at SummerSlam, she was really good. She looked like she hadn't really missed much time at all, but that was 6 years ago, right? Maybe 7. How many years ago was that? 6 or 7 years ago. You know, look, I don't want to say that they shouldn't be wrestling like they're out there embarrassing themselves, but is there a difference as far as their speed and some of the stuff they do just not looking very fluid? Yeah, of course. You know, there was a lot of stuff in that match tonight, even with the people who were on television every week, like Becky and Liv, that did not look very good. That's why I said there's plenty of blame to go around for that match that we saw tonight. Lita has never been one to, shall we say, look graceful like a gazelle in those matches. I never really felt that way about Trish. But, you know, again, there's a lot of years that have gone by. Trish has not been doing this consistently for a very long time. So there's going to be, I don't even know if you can call it ring rust, honestly. It could just be an issue of, you You know, her not being able to move around at the same pace that she used to. God First, thank you for the super chat. Love Lie, thank you as well. Says, I hate my statistics class. That is all. I hate statistics too. Slim Yoshi. I also want Brock against Cody to be like Cena Brock in 2012. Maybe go full on Cena and have him cut a speech post-match and then have Brock throw a fit in the back. I love that match, by the way. That was like one of my matches of the year in 2012. Was that Brock Cena match. It was so different than any other pay-per-view main event that we had ever seen in WWE. List fan says, isn't Trish almost 50? I think Trish and Lita are both almost 50. Yes. Yes. They're closer to 50 than they are 40. Again, they're a lot older than they were when they were around the first time. When Trish retired in 2006. That was 16 years ago. No, I'm sorry, 17. 17 years ago. Yeah, it had to be 17, because this year is the 16-year anniversary of my podcast, and I started in 2007. Trish retired in 2006. 17 years have gone by. Justin Logue with the $5 super chat. Has an authority figure ever used "didn't get the memo" as a catchphrase? Feels like it would be a good one, especially for a heel. Yeah, I've heard it used here and there over the years. Yeah, Long in the chat says Trish is 47. Trish is 47, and I think Lita might be older. But yeah, Trish is 47. Lexa with the $4.99. The last time the OC were on Raw. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I call them the club. I forgot. The OC. I always think of that stupid Fox show when I hear the OC. Last time the OC were on Raw was in January, back in Tag Team Turmoil. Also, I've seen chatter about having Logan Paul in the Money in the Bank match. What are your thoughts? I think he'd fit right in there. I'm sure he would do something insanely stupid in that match, but every Logan Paul match so far has been great. So, want him in Money in the Bank? I have no problem with that at all. Logan Paul, by the way, has re-signed with the company, a multi-year deal, so he is back. I think that was to be expected. So, yeah, why not put him in Money in the Bank? We have Lady Fire Panda with the $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Zachariah Sitchin. Thoughts on Britt Baker trying to do damage control, pardon the pun, by walking back her comments. Have a good one. You didn't tell me what the comments were. Are you talking about the Thunder Rosa comments? I'm assuming you're talking about the Thunder Rosa comments. Well, she should walk them back. If you're talking about the comments of her accusing Thunder Rosa of faking her injury, then yes, she should walk those comments back. Okay, the Bassmaster says hello. Hello, Bassmaster. Oh, Lita also. Okay, Lita's 47, so Lita and Trish are the same age. Lita will be 48 within the week. So there you go. Clint Greasewood says Trish and Lita are the new Moolah and Mae Young. I'm not touching that one. Red Emissary of Darkness, Seattle is the city of all time. Is that why the Supersonics left? You would think if they're the city of all time, they would have stayed. I'm just saying. John Cena's bald spot. Look at this. I spoke it into existence. John Cena's bald spot with a $2 super chat. Show was not too bad. Crowd was pretty dead. I think that pretty much sums up the show. It's a pretty good show with a dead crowd for the most part. There you go. Howlin' Mad Murdoch. Oh shit. You know what? I did it again. The super chats. Oh my god. I accidentally froze them. I only meant to freeze them for a few minutes. Now they're all going to play at once. I was like, where are all the super chats? Like, I'm reading them, but I'm not seeing them. I'm like, because it's frozen, you moron. All right, well, they'll be playing now. Howlin' Mad Murdoch with the $25 super chat. Why is wrestling Twitter melting down over Cody saying WrestleMania Backlash? I don't give a Walt Whitman if they call it Tea Time and Tiddlywinks or Super Brawl Saturday, as long as they put on a good show. That is what counts. Because WrestleMania Backlash is a stupid, stupid name. Is it a big deal? No. Is it a stupid name? Yes. And again, I think Cody just forgot. They are advertising it as Backlash. I mean, and also they romanticize it because Backlash used to be a pay-per-view many years ago, 20 years ago. And people don't like change. They don't want words added to it. Backlash should be Backlash. Black Genius, you got 2 videos on the channel, brother, with 2 WrestleMania reviews. So I don't know, you may have missed it. But if you want to see the WrestleMania review, you got 2 of them up there. So go check it out. I think the part 2 part 2 video is actually about to hit 50,000 views here on the channel. So thank you for that. Justin Logue, Renfield is the Nick Cage movie that will convince you that Nick Cage is the only one who can beat Roman Reigns. David Dreadful, the $5 super chat. Been watching since I was in high school around 10 years ago. I was 17. A few months I turned 28. Thank you for helping keep me entertained more than WWE. Well, David, you are very welcome. Howlin' Mad Murdoch with the 20, that's the $25 super chat that he dropped on me. I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming, and yet somehow I was still unprepared for it. Oh boy. David, thank you very much. David Dreadful. Brie mode. Didn't I see, was it Brie or Nikki? I thought I saw a Bella in some advertisement for some there's like a new television show on some kind of celebrity prank show, or was I just seeing things? I could have swore I saw a Bella twin. Or I guess they're not the Bellas anymore, right? They're the Garcia twins, right? Thank you guys for all the super chats. I appreciate it very much. Del Fuego has been a Sound of Legend for 17 months. Is TNA/Impact the Mets of wrestling? How dare you? How dare you? I am offended by that. Are they the Mets of wrestling? No, because the Mets can actually put tens of thousands of people in a stadium. Impact has never been able to do that ever in their existence. In fact, I think their biggest crowd that they ever did was maybe 10,000. It might have been for a UK show many years ago. I think they did 10,000. If it wasn't 10,000, then they did 7,000 in the Alamo Dome. And that's over the course of over 20 years. So the Mets at least can put people in the seats. No offense to all the Impact fans out there. You're going to get me in trouble, you know that? We hit the likes goal tonight. The like goal was 500. We blew past it, so thank you very much. Keep hitting that likes button because it does help out the video. The thumbs up. But let's go ahead and be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
See, I'm giving Seth Rollins more airtime tonight than WWE did. There he is. The thumbnail for Be the Booker. And perhaps we'll be able to book Seth Rollins in a match today. Austin Tucker says, yesterday at work, I told a coworker about your Bane super chat. He got a good laugh out of it. Well, good. Tell him to stop by. He likes it so much. He's more than happy to. He's more than. What is that? Oh, I didn't know what I was looking at here. Mets do 7,000 on a Tuesday night. That's right. That's a bad crowd. All right, we begin here with the game. Triple H, the Hall of Famer and 14-time world champion. That's a pretty damn good way to start things out here on Be the Booker. Triple H, all he wants to know, is he going over? That's all Triple H wants to know. He's going to go one-on-one with Joseph Park Esquire. You know that Joseph Park is a guilty pleasure of mine. Yes, he is Abyss. I mean, we're far enough removed now from the gimmick where people are going to look at him and go, who the fuck is that? Triple H and Abyss is basically the match. And I think that would have actually been a very good match. Yeah, Triple H and Abyss, I mean, it would have been like Triple H and Mankind. And Triple H and Foley had some fucking great matches together. That's why I think, again, in their physical prime, Triple H and Abyss would have been a great feud. Even if that wasn't Abyss, even if that was Joseph Park. I like Joseph Park. You don't like Joseph Park, you can piss off. Joseph Park was a great gimmick. I don't care what anybody says. All right, we begin with, Marina Shafir from AEW. I believe she calls herself The Problem. Yeah, we got a problem, all right. Marina Shafir. All right, well, I don't know. Let's see. I don't like where this is headed. Marina Shafir going to go one-on-one with Jordan Grace. Yeah, now you lost me at Marina Shafir. Although I have not seen her recent work. I've been told that she's actually been improving. I have not seen this yet, but that's what I've been told. All right, tiebreaker. Here we go. All comes down to this. Boy, we got a lot of buzzers here in the chat. We got a lot of buzzers here. All right, we got The Rock and we've got Mankind. The Rock and Sock connection. By the way, that I should probably update that picture of Jordan Grace. She looks nothing like that anymore. Jordan Grace she's like shredded. I think she's doing like bodybuilding competitions now. She looks completely different than she looks like in that picture. But we've got Rock and Sock. Going to be taken on... Oh, well, that's going to take a magic trick. But I like this match. I bet this is a match you guys never thought of. Rock and Mankind against Stone Cold and Dude Love. That is a very unique match. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. But there you go. Austin and Dude Love against Rock and Mankind. That is why we do Be the Booker. We book bangers on Be the Booker. Booking the banger. I'm going to rename this segment. We're booking bangers here on Be the Booker. I'll make a prediction right now that Mick Foley is going to walk out of that match the winner. That's my prediction for that match. Andre Israel with the $5 super chat. Looks like you're going to get the last word, brother. He says, which wrestler or wrestlers have the best dance moves of all time in your opinion? I got to go with my boy, Das Wunderkind. Alex Wright. Alex Wright, he had the moves. He wasn't embarrassed or shy about coming out on Nitro, dancing before every match. Remember, then they made him shave his head? I mean, unless that was his decision, but they made him shave his head. They called him Berlin. Like, what a bizarre gimmick change that was. But, best dance moves, though? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Teddy Long usually had some pretty good dance moves. He would just stand there and go like this. This was the Teddy Long, right? Everybody can do that. Or is that the Shanky? What happened to Shanky, by the way? I might be the only person in the world to ask that question. I just realized Shanky disappeared. Once Vince McMahon went away the first time for his fake retirement, that was around the time that Shanky disappeared. I guess Triple H is no Shanky fan. But Shanky did the same thing. Shanky would be out there going like, he would be going like this, raise the roof. Solomonster's dance moves here. I don't know. I'll go with Teddy Long. Yes, Blue Meanie. Blue Meanie did the same thing. I forgot about Blue Meanie. Love Lie has a super chat coming in here. Oh boy, the Blue Meanie. Love Lie says, do you think the Judgment Day could bring back the pay-per-view and center it around them, like Rock Bottom in 98? That would be clever, but no. No, that's not going to happen. Turtlehead with the $4.99. Will Brett walk FTR and Punk out at Wembley Stadium? I don't know what the nature of Brett's contract is with WWE. He's got some sort of Legends deal, and I don't know if it prevents him from making an appearance in AEW, but I'm pretty sure it does. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why he never walked FTR out to the ring on Dynamite. Brett walked them out to the ring at least a couple of times at independent events. And I thought, like, why would Tony Khan not do that on his show? Why is he letting them promote stuff like that on indie shows and not having Brett make an appearance on AEW television? Because Brett was there to introduce the AEW World Title belt when they introduced it for the first time. That's when he fell off the stage when he was walking to the back and almost killed himself. But I'm pretty sure he can't. Otherwise, having him at Wembley would make all the sense in the world, even if he's just in the crowd to wave or something, right? Why wouldn't you have Brett at Wembley? I don't think they can. Legally, I don't think he's going to be able to be there. But I agree. I mean, if he was legally able to be there, I'm sure he would love to walk FTR out for their match. Whatever match they're going to have, I'm sure he would love to do it, but I don't think he'll be able to. Dr. Scorpio, imagine the build-up to that Be the Booker tag team match. It would be great. It would be great. One segment we have Foley playing Mankind. The next segment we have him playing Dude Love. I wonder if that means he would get a double bonus, like a pay-per-view bonus. See, they don't do those anymore with the streaming and the Peacock stuff. I don't think you get pay-per-view bonuses anymore. But back then, I wonder if they would double bonus him if that were the case. Would seem to make sense to me. Do the Teddy. I'm not going to do the Teddy. Todd Warner with the $5. Is AEW still doing the Owen tournament, or was that a one-time thing? That is supposed to be an annual thing. So as far as I know, they're still doing it, and probably in the next few weeks we'll start hearing about it because they started doing qualifiers last year. Probably, what was it, like first or second week of May, I guess it would have been. And then the finals at Double or Nothing. As far as I know, it's going to be an annual thing. So yeah, we should have the Owen again this year. Does Arn Anderson return to be in Cody's corner when he and Roman run it back? That's going to be awfully hard, seeing as how he is under contract to AEW. So the answer is no. No, he does not. Dustin was at WrestleMania, but never showed him on camera. They showed -1. But Dustin was not in the front row. Owen Hart should be in the AEW video game. I believe he is. That's assuming the AEW video game ever actually comes out. I believe Owen Hart is in the AEW Fight Forever game. Which we still have no release date for. Speaking of video games. One last reminder, if you are a channel member and if you got a green name in the chat and a badge next to your name, then you are a channel member and you have access to all the spiffy emojis. You can watch the latest installment of Sound Off Gamer. It's up for you guys right now. Everybody else will get it later in the week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. So if you are a channel member, go ahead and enjoy your early access. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you leave some comments. Thank you for joining me here tonight. A much more pleasant night than last Monday. So that's an improvement. I will be here with you on Wednesday night for the Dynamite stream. Probably no SmackDown stream on Friday night because I will likely be at the NYC Arena for House of Glory. I'm waiting just to find out exactly what's going on with the commentary situation and everything. I'm not sure what's going on there, but most likely I will not be here for SmackDown. So if I'm not streaming, you know why. If that changes, I will let you guys know if I am going to be here. But I just wanted to let you guys know so you are aware. So I think we've covered everything. Good stream. I will see you guys on Wednesday. If you missed it, check out episode 803 of the podcast. A lot of good shit. Talking about various subjects, including Cody and AEW at Wembley Stadium and the just ridiculously disturbing Vicky Guerrero family story, which became a story thanks to them going on social media and pouring it out there for the world to see. Bret Hart is also talked about, his recent comments. And here's a question for you to chew on if you did not listen to the show yet, because this was from a listener who wrote in asking, are the Usos the greatest tag team of all time? What do you think? Leave some feedback. I'll probably get that clip up on the channel tomorrow as well. And then you guys can chime in and let me know your thoughts. So be well, stay safe, and we'll do it all over again live. The Dynamite stream on Wednesday. Take care, guys.